Welcome back to the AFN Sports Arena with Jantzee and Tory. I'm Jantzee, and I'm finally joined once again in studio by Air Force Staff Sergeant Tory Cusimano.
Oh my goodness. That is way too much, guys. That's way too much.
Well, now that you've made your triumphant return, how is it? Is it good to be back in Okinawa?
It feels amazing to be back. I missed it a lot. I missed the food. I missed the people. I missed my nice big studio here. So I'm incredibly happy to be back. Happy to be back here with you recording the podcast live.
Yes, much easier.
Yes. Very happy to be getting back into the swing of things.
Well, plenty of things are getting rolling again here on Island, especially now that school is getting ready to start. And with the start of school brings the start of football.
Woo!
I'm pretty excited. So we have two high school football teams here on Island, the Kadena Panthers and the Kubasaki Dragons. And Dodea sports are pretty different from your typical American high school athletics, obviously. It goes without saying that the constant flux of students due to PCS moves can bring its own challenges. But I feel these two coaches of the two high school programs here have it down pat. Coach Mendoza of Kadena and Coach Bales of Kubasaki. I personally think they're really great coaches. I had a chance to follow their seasons last year, and I'm really excited to see what they bring to the field. Both teams started two-a-day practices this week. Kubasaki started on the 7th, Kadena on the 9th, and I'm personally excited to see what senior returning quarterback Cody Seago does for the Panthers program this year. He's been a starter pretty much his whole career, and he comes from a long line of Kadena Panthers. So I'll be pretty excited. Are you planning on catching those games this year?
Oh, absolutely. I love high school football in general. And like you said, it's really unique here in Okinawa because there's so much turnover with people PCSing in and out and stuff like that. So a lot of high school coaches get their kids, they recruit from their local community, and they get their kids for 4 years, and they have a chance to develop them and turn them into, the players that they know that they can be. But here with so much turnover, the coaches are forced to sort of take these slapdash rosters, throw them together, and still put a competitive product on the field. And I think the coaches not only do that, but it's a very high level of football play that you see out there. It's not,
it really is.
It's not Pop Warners out there. It's not people just running left and right and hoping to get a couple yards. Like, these guys are dropping dimes. They're running these spread offenses and all sorts of stuff.
Like I said, I was thoroughly impressed last year. And I also covered high school football back in the States in North Carolina where it's really big. And I mean, I have to say the level of play doesn't drop off all that much. So I highly suggest, even if you don't know any of the players out there, go and support your teams. They both have their opening game August 26th, but the big game that everybody's looking for is September 1st when Kadena and Kubasaki will be playing each other.
Ooh.
It's the first installment of their rivalry. They play...
The rivalry noise.
Yep. It's a pretty good one. This first one on September 1st will be played at Mike Petty Stadium. On
Wonderful
Camp Foster.
location.
It is. It's a lot of fun. So make sure you grab the family, load them up in the car, head over, check that game out. But if you just can't wait several more weeks to watch a football game, AFN will be airing several NFL preseason games this week. Oh, I love it.
I love that sound.
Nostalgia.
It's the greatest sound of all time.
So first up, we have the Steelers at New York Giants at 8 a.m. on Saturday, the Cowboys at LA Rams on Sunday at 10 a.m., and then a small handful of games on Monday and Tuesday. So be sure to check out myafn.net for the schedule to find out when you can get an on-field preview of your favorite team.
Gonna be a good time.
Now, speaking of your favorite teams... Shall we talk about the quarterback competition going on in Denver right now?
Yeah, man.
What do you think about Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch? What's your prediction?
I think that going into it, I had an open mind because not necessarily... Trevor Siemian played well for us last year, but he didn't wow me at all. He wowed me with his composure and his poise.
I mean, he was in the wake of Peyton Manning coming off that.
Yes, he faces the Brian Griese conundrum, which and Denver fans are so spoiled when it comes to quarterback play. You know what I mean? Every quarterback that we've had since John Elway has just been run out of town until Peyton Manning. So now you have these two titans, these two pillars of quarterback play in Denver. So that is one of the most scrutinized positions in all of sports.
Absolutely.
I feel like is Denver Broncos quarterback.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. I think that Siemian is going to win it. I like Paxton Lynch and the athleticism that he brings, but he did not do well last year when he started. 0-2, didn't look accurate, didn't look like he was comfortable at all out there. And the reports in camp are saying that he's gotten a lot better. He understands the offense, although now it's completely new offense under Mike McCoy, our new offensive coordinator, or returning offensive coordinator, I should say.
Yeah, last year he spent most of the season on the bench behind Siemian, but he completed 49 of 81 passes, 497 yards, and a pair of touchdowns. But like you said, that was a small sample size, so it's hard to judge. So we can really, only go off of what we're hearing coming out of camp.
Right.
And the word is Trevor Siemian will be the starter, and probably for a little longer than a lot of people would have hoped.
Yeah, I mean, he gives us a chance to win games.
Exactly.
He's not going to go out and win you any games, or maybe we don't know because he hasn't really had an opportunity. They haven't. Gary Kubiak was pretty conservative when it came to his quarterback play if he didn't trust in the quarterback. So you didn't see Siemian have a whole lot of opportunities that way. So he might surprise us. You never know.
Yeah, we'll see. They say the ceiling is a lot higher with Lynch. He has a lot more room to grow.
Right.
But that growth just isn't quite on track. It's just not progressing as fast as we thought. But we have hope. We have hope. Another first-round quarterback from this year's draft, though, who's in a competition for a job right now, is the Shaun Watson in Houston. And as you may remember, he was the man behind center for last year's national champion Clemson Tigers. And he had 41 throwing TDs, 9 rushing touchdowns, but 17 picks.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh. That's not numbers you want to see out of your quarterback. A lot of times it happens with these quarterbacks who are really athletic and who bring a lot of different skills to the table.
The accuracy can suffer. And in the NFL, the windows close a lot faster.
Oh, absolutely. You can't just be winging the ball up there every time and hoping your receiver makes play. Granted, these are the best receivers in the world, and they will go up there and make a play. But, yeah, if you're trying to throw that 10-yard out route and get it there accurately before that corner can turn his head around and step in front of the receiver, you have to be consistent, you have to be accurate, you have to be on time. So he's got some work ahead of him.
And a lot of people were shocked that the Texans traded up so high to get him in the draft and how much they risked for that. But, I mean, if you listen to what's being said by the coaches, most notably Bill O'Brien, they have named the veteran Tom Savage their starter, which that's a pretty common thing in the NFL, that when you have a rookie quarterback, you immediately default name your veteran your starter.
Sure.
Just, so they can learn a little, hold the clipboard for a minute, get comfortable with the system. But the word on the street is that it won't last long, and Watson will be starting sooner than later, that he's actually been playing pretty well. What are your thoughts on that? When is too soon for a rookie to start?
Today's NFL is extremely complicated, and you see a lot more college teams going to these NFL-style offenses and defenses, so the transition has been made a little easier, but and it depends so much on the guy. You can't set just a standard amount of time that they should sit.
Absolutely.
But I feel like at least a year, if not 2 years, can really benefit a quarterback before they actually get thrown in there to the fire, because you learn how a team is run, you learn how games are won and lost, you learn the reads and that sort of thing, whereas as a rookie, there's so much pressure on you.
Yeah.
And it can fade
especially
over
a high
year or
draft
two.
pick.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got so much pressure to win right away, and it's unfair to a lot of them, and it ruins a lot of quarterbacks' developments.
Yeah, there are very few that have been able to succeed. I mean, unless you're an Andrew Luck
Right.
or some
There's
prodigy.
some that come in right away. Big Ben, when he came into the league, found success right away.
And it's a fit with the team, too.
Right.
It has to be the right team, the right staff.
That all goes back to, there's so many factors that go into it, so many variables that can determine whether a rookie has success or not. But I think the safer bet is to let him sit for a little bit.
Okay, so we will see. And as long as we're talking about Broncos and Texans quarterbacks, we might as well talk about Brock Osweiler.
Who? I've never heard of that guy.
Yeah, Brock Osweiler.
He's a quarterback?
Yeah, and you wanna take a wild guess where he's ended up?
Well, we've already established that Cleveland is the place the quarterbacks go to die.
Yes.
So I'm assuming, rest in peace, Brock Osweiler's career.
He's been named the starter as of now.
Has he?
In Cleveland, yep.
I thought I heard that they didn't even want him when they traded for him.
Well, he's there. He's there. And we'll get back to them, how much they want him in a minute. But it's looking like another rookie, Deshaun Kaiser, will take over sooner than later. One source close to the situation said the Browns really like their offensive line with the new additions, and they plan to be a run-heavy offense around Isaiah Crowell anyway. So that, quarterback with a big arm isn't as vital to their system. They need more, short game accuracy.
Right. Game manager.
Exactly.
They could use a guy like Trevor Siemian.
They could. They just need a dad. Just to keep things working well on the field, keep a well-oiled machine.
On-field dad.
And so, but Kaiser is the guy for the future. They're not vested in Osweiler. So I say, why not throw him in there now? As long as they feel they can protect him with that big offensive line. I mean, the only reason I can think of that they would start Osweiler is that they're showcasing him for a trade.
That's very possible, hopefully he plays well so he can bump his trade value up a little bit.
Exactly.
But again, it's just so much can go wrong with a rookie quarterback. It can I'm really hoping that they're just making the smart choice as an organization here, and it's not due to anything with Osweiler where they want to bump his value up.
Backroom dealings, anything like that.
Because you really need a little bit of time to learn the NFL, just get used to it.
It's a different beast.
It feels like an oversimplification, but really you just need to get used to your surroundings before you can go out there and confidently start slinging that thing around.
And this is something that brings to my mind, my husband and I were actually talking about this last night, how different high school football is to even college. To the pros. The
speed of the game.
And it turns into a straight up business.
Oh, yeah.
There's no more little, hand slapping, you're doing up downs if you do something wrong.
You're not extra practice. That's not a thing.
Exactly. It's not a thing. It's a business. Their playbooks are binders. Well, maybe not anymore. Maybe they're all on iPads now. But they have a lot of material to go through. And it doesn't matter how smart you are. It's a huge learning curve, even from the top NCAA programs. So I tend to agree, at least a few games, into the season. Let the veterans take charge, and the rookies will always get their chance.
Watch Brock Osweiler go on a tear like no Cleveland quarterback has done in decades.
As we're sitting here bashing him.
Take him to the AFC Championship or something like that. He has to beat the Texans and the Broncos along the way. How crazy would that be? Yeah.
Yeah, keep dreaming.
Well, he's beating the Patriots.
Yeah.
For the Broncos, so.
Yeah, but again, Cleveland Browns. I will reiterate that.
Yeah.
Not a lot of luck on that
Fortune's got to turn around sometime, Jantzee.
They do, but only time will tell.
This year, I'm calling it Cleveland to the Super Bowl.
Oh, God. We have that recorded, so I'll save that.
I cannot be held responsible for any remarks I may have made.
Okay, we'll see. If it's convenient, I'll throw it back at you. Okay, but like I said, only time will tell. And speaking of anxiously waiting, we just want to update you that AFN is still working hard to obtain the rights to the Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor fight on August 26th, but we haven't received the final word just yet. Now explain what that means, Tory.
So AFN works very hard to bring you the rights to UFC events, boxing events, WWE events. I know those are two different categories, but we're talking about paid pay-per-view events that service members overseas will get to view for free.
As opposed to the $100 price tag that you pay stateside.
Now, it's not just a standing agreement we have, and not to mention there's a bunch of different organizations that we have to negotiate to get these rights from, and that process can take a lot of time. So a lot of times we don't know until a week or two out if we're going to be able to carry any particular live sporting event. So especially with these boxing matches, it ends up running pretty close to the actual date. So the fight is set for August 26th. We're under the impression that we'll have our final word by August 20th.
Okay.
So just stay tuned
so don't
to our
panic
Facebook
till
page.
then.
Facebook.com/Wave89 and AFN Radio Wave 89.1 is going to give you those updates as soon as we know.
Yes, stay up to date. We're working hard. Don't panic. I'd say there's
Unless
a high
you're Floyd
likelihood.
Mayweather, then
Unless
you
you're
should probably
Floyd
panic.
Mayweather, that's a whole nother beast. If you're not, stay on track with that just for the drama. Well, that's going to have to do it for us today. Thanks for joining us this week in the AFN Sports Arena. Make sure you hit subscribe, and we'd love to hear from you as always. You can drop us a line at afnsportsarena@gmail.com. I'm Jantzee Ellis, and he...
Air Force Staff Sergeant Tory Cusimano. Oh, dude, that's just loud and obnoxious.
They're crazy. They're so happy you're back.
People down, man.
Okay, well, everybody, have a great week. And don't forget, you have to look good to play good.